Do you know Samsung was almost bankrupted in 1960? Yes, Samsung, the popular brand that millions of people worldwide have at least owned a device once in their life. The South Korean brand has earned worldwide recognition and is one of the leading creators of electronic devices globally. It specializes in various electronics and consumer industries, including digital media devices, memory chips, semiconductors, integrated systems, and appliances. But do you know how Samsung started? Who is the man behind the brand Samsung? Stay with us till the end as we are going to tell you how Lee-Byung, a poor boy, established a big company like Samsung when the entire economy of the country was struggling. Early life. Byung-chul was the youngest of 4 children born to Lee Chun-woo and Kwon Jae-lim. Byung-chul was the son of a wealthy Yongbun family. He went to Jongdong High School in Seoul for high school and Waseda University in Tokyo for college, but did not complete his degree. Lee-Byung, a large land-owning family in Uryong County, moved to nearby Daegu City in 1938 and founded Mitsubishi Trading Company, or Samsung Sengho. Samsung began as a small trading company in Sudong with 40 employees. It sold dried fish, groceries grown locally, and noodles. He was forced to flee Seoul after the Korean War broke out. In Busan, he established the Cheoljedang Sugar Refinery. Lee founded Cheolmojik in 1954 and built a plant in Chimsundong, Daegu. It was the country's largest woolen mill. Samsung has expanded into a wide range of industries. Lee aimed to establish Samsung as a global leader in a variety of industries. As a result, Samsung expanded into the insurance, securities, and retail industries. Cho Hong-jae, the founder of the Hyosun Group, and Lee-Byung, the founder of Samsung, invested in a new company called Samsung Mosun Gongsa, or the Samsung Trading Corporations, in 1947. The trading firm grew into the current Samsung C&T Corporation. Cho and Lee split up after a few years due to management style differences. Cho desired a 30% stake in the company. Samsung Group was divided into Samsung Group and Hyosun Group, as well as Hankook Tire and other subsidiaries. Samsung Group entered the electronic industry in the late 1960s. It established several electronics-related divisions in Suwon, including Samsung Electronics Devices, Samsung Electromechanics, Samsung Corning, and Samsung Semiconductor and Telecommunications. Its first product was a monochrome television set. Lee Kun-hee took over as chairman of Samsung on December 1, 1987, just 2 weeks after his father Lee-Byung died. His nepotistic succession was typical of chaebols, but the younger Lee found himself at the helm of a fairly steady ship. Samsung was already leading several markets in South Korea. Lee-Byung founded Samsung Trading Co. in 1938 as a trucking company initially. Park, then leader of South Korea, wanted to turn South Korea into a manufacturing powerhouse to compete with the rising communist North and a resurgent Japan. He enlisted a small group of companies to help him achieve that goal. Because Korea lacked natural resources and skilled labor at the time, Park focused on efficiency by putting the country to work on raw materials imported from elsewhere. Lee-Byung corruption chill and ties to the previous government were forgiven, and Samsung received the full backing and benefits of a new industrial machine. When Lee's reign ended, his third son, Lee Kun-hee, took over a manufacturing behemoth driving South Korea's economic growth. He saw Japanese firms dragging their feet on digital technology, allowing Korean firms to encroach on their territory with better, more efficient business practices. Professor Song Jae-young of Seoul National University describes these as synthesizing the company's previous Confucian and Japanese-influenced thought and newer Western inspiration. Samsung's Lee Kun-hee. If Samsung chairman Lee Kun-hee pauses this weekend to reflect on the past 25 years, he might be forgiven for feeling conflicted. Tomorrow marks the quarter-century anniversary of Lee's successions from his late father, as his tenure has been a whirlwind acceleration in Samsung's fortunes. Under Lee's leadership, the company has grown from a Korean budget name to a major international force and arguably the most prominent Asia brand in the world. Samsung's revenue are now 39 times what they were in 1987. It generates roughly 20% of South Korea's GDP, and Lee is the country's richest man. Samsung's rise to the top has been tainted with controversy. However, the company's rise to the top has been marred by controversy. Samsung is the epitome of a chaebol, a uniquely Korean conglomerate that combines Confucian values with family ties and government influence. Accusations of corruptions and cozy establishment connections, convictions in an embezzlement scandal, strained family relationships that threatened the traditional chaebol structure, and a bruising patent battle with Apple have dulled Samsung's and Lee's gleaming business record. Lee Kun-hee took over as chairman of Samsung on December 1, 1987, just 2 weeks after his father, Lee-Byung died. The nepotistic succession was typical of chaebols, but the younger Lee found himself at the helm of a fairly steady ship. Samsung was already leading several markets in South Korea. Lee-Byung founded Samsung Trading Co. in 1938 as a trucking company and guided it through the Japanese occupations and the Korean War to become a successful conglomerate before entering the electronics industry in the 1960s. Like many other chaebols, Samsung's rise was aided by close ties with Syngman Rhee authoritarian administration, but things changed after Park Chung-hee's military coup in 1961. Samsung is a Korean name derived from Chinese characters that means 3 stars, which serves as the company's logo for many years. However, Lee Kun-hee quickly replaced that logo with the neutral blue ellipse still in use today. The rebranding was part of Lee's plan to transform the company from a Korean success story to an international powerhouse. Unfortunately, it coincided with a change in the company's internal workings. In 1993, Lee famously told his employees to change everything except your wife and kids. And true to his word, he attempted to reform the deeply Korean culture that had pervaded Samsung up until that point. Foreign employees were brought in, and local employees were shipped out as Lee tried to foster a more international attitude to doing business. Lee Kun-hee to Samsung employees in 1993. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, it seems all but certain that Japan would become the world's dominant manufacturing power. Of course, the country now competes with South Korean rivals, hampering a hostile exchange rate and sky-high labor costs. But Lee's foresight around 2 decades ago allowed Samsung to get a leg up on Sony. He saw Japanese firms dragging their feet on digital technology, allowing Korean firms to encroach on their territory with better, more efficient business practices. Professor Song Jae-young of Seoul National University describes these as synthesizing the company's previous Confucian and Japanese-influenced thought and newer Western inspiration. For example, Lee gradually implemented merit-based incentives for promotions and compensations without completely overhauling the previous systems based on seniority. As the 1990s gave way to the new millennium, Samsung began to resemble a Japanese company in terms of success and quality. They have gone from a minor brand, particularly in the United States, to a powerhouse in many different markets that now frequently defines cutting-edge products, the Gartner research director Michael Gartenberg. They now define excellence in many ways in the same way that Japanese consumer electronics companies once did. Lee warned the dangers of complacency in 1997, writing that a heightened sense of crisis was required for any company to succeed. Maintaining this attitude must have come in handy the following years when journalist Lee Sang-ho published recordings of Samsung Vice Chairman Lee Hak-soo conversing with Korea's ambassador to the United States, Hong Seok-hyun. The conversations revealed Lee and Hong's plan to funnel around 3 billion won to South Korea's presidential candidates and Samsung's involvement in the bribery of senior prosecutors. Lee Sang-ho claimed that Samsung used its ownership of the major Jonggang daily newspaper published by Hong Seok-hyun to try to silence allegations of corruptions. As a result, Hong was forced to resign as the U.S. ambassador. Lee Kun-hee received a suspended 2 years prison sentence for bribing former presidents in a separate incident. However, there is still widespread apprehensions about reporting negative convergence of Samsung. What do you think about the story of Samsung? Share your thoughts in the comment, smash the subscribe button, and get notifications for our latest videos. Thank you for watching Business Bio. Take care.